Hello everyone and welcome to CMS Connected. I'm your host, Veronica Cooper. And with us today we have Sweden's top web CMS platform, Episerver, and Australia's own web CMS powerhouse, Elcom Global. And joining me today is Scott Lewer. Scott is the lead analyst and senior WCM consultant for Outsells Gilbane Services and the president of CM Pros. Hello, Scott. Scott, I don't know if you're there, but I'm sure you are. It's going to be an interesting matchup today. Now, before we get started, I'd like to briefly explain the process. Our CMS Connected guests today will each be asked 15 set questions from Scott. After both vendor guests have replied to each set question, I'm going to read out any posts from any of the attending audience. And at the end of all the questions, the audience can ask our guests any general questions until the end of the show. So please also feel free to tweet using the hashtag CMSConnected because we would love to hear from you. Now at this point, I'd like to introduce our event sponsors, Prescient Digital Media. Prescient is a group of senior internet and intranet consultants that provide strategic consulting, planning, and communication services to organizations of all sizes, delivering highly effective and innovative website and intranet plans, designs, and solutions. And I'd like to introduce Falcon-Software. Falcon provides web creative, e-commerce development, content management, social media, and mobile solutions for organizations across the globe with a focus of delivering your project on time, on budget, and to your complete satisfaction. And our event sponsor, CM Pros. CM Pros helps its 16,000 plus members all over the world to succeed by enhancing their knowledge and expertise, sharing practices, and connecting business members, corporate and individual practitioners to further develop the industry as a strategic business imperative. And now, let's introduce our guests. Our first guest, we have Anthony Milner from Elcom Global. Anthony is Elcom's Product Director. Hello, Anthony. Welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. And I'd like to introduce our second guest. We have Bob Egner from Episerver joining us today. Bob is Episerver's VP of Global Marketing. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Veronica. Thanks for having me today.
It is our pleasure. And now, gentlemen, I'm going to throw things over to Scott Lewer to get the questions rolling. Scott?
Whose audio is finally working. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Wonderful.
Thanks,
Hello,
Veronica,
Scott.
for having me. Okay, great. So the way that we'll start this out is we'll do questions back and forth, as Veronica said, to each. And I just want to tell the audience that for the first one, we've allowed both Elcom and Episerver to send us a few slides, which we'll just run through while each one is answering this first question here so that you can get a feel for their offering, maybe see some screenshots of the product or two, and then their kind of NASCAR slide of customers that they serve. That'll be the last time that we'll be going through their slides, and then we'll just be focusing on the hard-hitting CMS-connected questions. So first one is over to Anthony. Anthony, can you just take about 2 minutes for us and tell us a little bit about Elcom, the customer population that you serve, and the problems that you seek to solve?
Yeah, sure, absolutely, Scott. So, look, Elcom has been in this space since the mid-90s, and really the Elcom CMS is a .NET enterprise web content management platform with a focus in 6 key areas. Obviously, web and intranets, e-commerce, online marketing, social, and e-learning. The product has 50 out-of-the-box modules which provide things like multi-site capability, multi-channel delivery, document management, digital asset management, as well as built-in analytics engine, A/B testing, email marketing, form creation, and workflow, just to name a few. We work with some of the world's leading brands such as Target, VW, and Hyundai. And we're active in both the mid-market and the enterprise space. And we really excel where there are complex architectures and deep integration requirements. So to date, we've successfully delivered over 500 implementations, both directly and through our partner network, which spans the USA and Canada, Singapore, Australia, Hong Kong, and South Africa. And these implementations really cut across a broad range of vertical industries, and in particular, we've had a strong focus in government, healthcare, and automotive. So really, our platform endeavors to solve these organizations' problems and their real-world challenges of end-user adoption, visitor engagement, really information management, and then looking at scalability and interoperability as key components. So we really love to solve problems where customers have really diverse ranges of needs, whether it be just creating engaging websites or an intranet that really performs, internal training, or demanding e-commerce environments. And all of this delivered from a single platform and providing an organization ultimately with lots of opportunities and deep capabilities.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the overview. Bob, I'll allow you to take it away. Tell us a little bit about Episerver and the customer population that you serve, as well as the problems that you seek to solve over there.
Sure. Episerver is a company that, like Elcom, is probably not native to the U.S., but a company that's building a very strong presence here in the U.S. market. We're a technology company that focuses on software for digital marketing, online communications, and e-commerce. We've been growing quite significantly over the past several years since the company was founded in 1994. We're very much focused on running a tight business, because that gives a level of comfort and reliability to our customer base that's looking for low-risk solutions that helps them solve their problems with online marketing, digital communications, and e-commerce today. The company delivers software through an extensive partner network. We're about a little over 500 partners around the world today. And the platform that we're offering is much more than just a content management system. We also have a very strong commerce component, a component for social software used to build brand communities, and a set of communications components that we call Marketing Arena. All of those are capped off with a very neat interactive dashboard environment. And our customers and partners use that capability to build really interactive websites for them. So you see some screenshots of the products flying by now, but overall our focus is very much on getting business results out of this online presence, and that's why customers of all sizes, from small and mid-sized companies in nonprofit public sector like government, as well as many commercial companies, are coming to Episerver and using our products. We have about 4,000 customers around the world today, running on close to 30,000 websites. So very substantial installed base, and along with that, a very active developer community that we call Episerver World. This is an open source-like community of developers that contribute additional modules and extensions to the Episerver platform to build it out for custom or specific industry needs and incorporate that into the solutions that they deliver to their customers.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. That was a great introduction by both of you. We're just going to snake this back and forth, so we'll take the second question. Bob, will be to you. Tell us a little bit, with over 1,200 self-proclaimed content management systems on the market today, what should we know specifically about the Episerver product? What differentiates you from all the rest?
Yeah, I think the primary issue that our customers tell us about all the time is a website today is different from a website 5 years ago, certainly different from a website 10 years ago. We build our products with the end user's needs in mind, and largely they're focused on getting business results out of that website. That could be conversions in lead generation scenarios. It could simply be communication to push information out to a set of constituents who are looking for that information, and it can be social interaction, all centered around a specific brand. And definitely e-commerce is a popular area with the number of online transactions continuing to increase around the world. So our differentiator is really focusing on that broad set of problems that need to be solved for our customers. That's where our platform addresses the 4 C's: content, community, commerce, and communication. And we also have put a strong focus on multi-channel capability because, again, the web is not just a website these days. You have to reach an audience or a set of visitors that you're trying to connect with in a lot of different channels. It could be public social networks. It could be mobile. It could be through different online communications like email. But all of those work together and providing a comprehensive solution that addresses all of those multi-channel needs across these many different dimensions of the web is where Episerver stands apart.
Okay, great. So I've heard you know, a number of folks out there of that 1200, I think, would talk about some similar capabilities there in terms of attacking, you know, the multi-channel market. So I look forward to digging into some more of that today and really kind of honing in on Episerver's value add here. So Anthony, over to you. Same question to you. What should we know specifically about the Elcom product and what differentiates you from others?
Well, we really feel there are two things that make us unique. The first is the breadth of our offering, and secondly, you know, speed of implementation. You know, breadth of offering, we've taken more of an enterprise information management approach to our product development. For example, we were, you know, one of the first CMS vendors to really place a heavy focus and emphasis on the intranet. You know, if done correctly, the intranet is really the place where a lot of the deeper and more complex content management happens. And this can really be seen through our very powerful document management and taxonomy engine, forms, workflow, and very tight and pretty awesome integration with Microsoft Office. And also in terms of breadth, we kind of have also you know, built out a learning management component, and that's not too common nowadays in CMSs, and we're really trying to you know, broaden out and target the needs that an organization has throughout their ecosystem. So we feel that these components really differentiate us in what is quite a, you know, crowded market. The other thing is speed of implementation. You know, we started life as a services organization. That's our heritage, and that really gave us a unique view of challenges faced by our customers. So in everything we do, it's given us insights into the real world, and so we build our system in such a way which has enabled very fast implementation, which ultimately leads to excellent user adoption.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much. I think there's plenty of things for us to dig in there, so we'll do so over the course of the next 50 minutes. So tell us then, I guess, move on to a case study. Maybe if you can describe for us, you don't have to name the client in particular, but tell us a case study about which you feel is representative of an ideal scenario for your product. Maybe tell us about the original business pain or need, the value that Elcom brought to that situation, and then the resulting benefits that the client achieved since implementing the product. Anthony, that's to you.
Sure, Scott. So I mentioned earlier, you know, we have quite a bit of a speciality in the automotive space, and the Hyundai Kia case study that we have out is great because it has, you know, they use a number of components in interesting ways with deep integration to their internal systems. Their main challenge was really to consolidate their existing digital assets and also provide new and compelling online services to engage with staff, dealers, and prospective owners. And so the Elcom CMS was able to really cater to this by providing out-of-the-box functionality in a number of ways. Firstly, we provided dealers with quick access to key metrics via an ERP-integrated dealer portal. Then there's a training and e-learning system for upskilling and certifying of engineers. There's a staff intranet which provides the collaboration component and document management tools inside the organization. And then a car owners portal which, you know, provides CRM and ERP integrated access to vehicle data and things like services schedules. And then lastly, of course, there's the extremely high traffic public-facing website, which is, you know, a major you know, acquisition component of the whole strategy. So really, this is a great example of how our platform can be leveraged to deliver these wide-ranging capabilities across an entire digital ecosystem. And for them, the benefits have been, you know, reduced costs, improved processes, and better overall engagement with staff, prospects, owners, and dealers.
So what actually improved, I just want to dig down for a second, what actually improved through the course of implementing Elcom? I mean, were they doing all this stuff for the first time, or did they consolidate, you know, from a number of different other technologies which were giving them that before, and now they've consolidated into the Elcom roof? Or tell me why Elcom brought a differentiation there.
Well, the key for them was really consolidation and building out new services. So they had a mix of environments. Some were performing, some weren't. you know, and integration between all these disparate systems was not great. So certainly, you know, bringing it all together under the one umbrella was a great proposition for them, just in terms of reducing costs, improving processes, having people really across one system, and especially from the systems and architecture side as well, in terms of managing the overall architecture. So definitely it was a mix of those scenarios, and we went in and brought it all together and then built out some new services as well.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thanks very much. Bob, over to you. Same thing. I just want to remind the audience as well, please feel free to submit your questions, whether through GoToMeeting or through our hashtag CMS Connected on Twitter. Bob, I'll ask you the same question. Can you describe a case study for us that you feel represents an ideal scenario for Episerver? Again, point out for us the original business pain or need, the value that your product brought to the situation, and the resulting benefits that they've achieved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Episerver has a pretty large customer base, or about 4,000 customers with nearly 30,000 websites running around the world today, and we find that the scale of customer needs changes a lot. We go from very small customers or customers who just want to stand up a quick website for the purpose of a particular campaign. They want to run that on a cloud-based version of our software that we've recently introduced, on up to some very complex high-end enterprise situations where the focus could be strictly on content reuse. We have a retail bank in the U.S. that runs 86 different websites for different bank brands, all on a common core with a very strong focus on content reuse, something they couldn't achieve with the content management solution they were using previously. But we also have some larger customers around the world that focus on content that has to be delivered in different languages to different locations, high-end situations where you've got a large number of users and a high amount of traffic. One of the media companies that uses our product in Europe has 15 servers driving 1.3 terabytes of information, about 20 million page views a week to their readership, or some other large-scale situations like UK House of Parliament, which has recently implemented Episerver to be able to handle the digitalization of about 10 million pages worth of content that they had and need to make available to the citizens of the United Kingdom. So we've got a wide range of customers with different needs and interests, and one of the things that's unique about our platform is you can kind of pick and choose the different components and pair those together in a way that makes the most sense based on the goals and objectives for that organization. One that I think of as sort of the poster child for using our entire platform is a cruise ship line that's based in Europe that's actually implemented their basic web content using Episerver CMS. So the description of different cruises and packages that they offer is built and managed in that product. They have developed a brand community, a way for people who are taking advantage of their cruise offerings to be able to communicate with each other, to get referral information, and build a stronger brand experience and quickly respond to customer inquiries or questions about service level that may come up before, after, or during the course of a cruise. They've implemented outbound communication using Episerver products, and then they have online commerce to take transactions, the actual booking of cruise ship rides during the course of the visitor's experience online. So the combination of those products working together has given them a unique way to build out their brand, to take in user-generated content to extend and augment the brand. In fact, I was recently speaking to the marketing director over there, and he was telling me that they really appreciate the user-generated content because it's, for them, worth about 10 times as much in terms of strength of credibility to any marketing content that they develop themselves and put online. So these unique combinations of content, community, commerce, and communications tied all together are some of the cases where our customers are getting some really important value in terms of improved conversion, improved value out of the website from a online sales perspective, and building stronger relationships with their customer base that they're trying to reach.
Perfect. Okay, let's
move
to the
Scott,
next question.
just before you go to question, before you go to question 4, I'm going to interrupt. The questions are starting to come in, and the first one is directed to both of you. And the question is, since mobile and multi-channel get so much attention, can you each explain the extent of your capabilities in this area? And Bob, how about we start with you?
Sure. Let me take 2 specific areas out of multi-channel and talk about those. The 2 that seem to have a high buzz factor in the market today are number 1, mobile, and number 2, social. If we look at the mobile side of things first, we know that the basic requirement is just to get content out in a form factor that's suitable for the types of smartphones that have become popular these days. And it's really a field that's narrowing pretty rapidly. It's mostly iPhone, Android, and iPad tablets. And the combination of those and creating some way to quickly reformat content without a lot of work to build out a mobile site is where we've had our focus. So we have the capability to reuse and repurpose any content that's been put up into your content management system, into your commerce site, or into your community, and provide that in a web format suitable for one of these smartphone devices that have become popular today. In addition to that, we provide interfaces so that any of that content can be delivered to a custom-built app, and we find many of our customers are moving in the direction where they start first with a mobile web app, and then they move over time based on user acceptance into a native app for those particular handheld devices. So that's the mobile side. The social side, so if you want me to continue there?
Just briefly, we want to try to keep these to 60 seconds or so, but go ahead, finish up.
Okay. On the social side of things, the real issue is how to build engagement with a member community somewhere that's outside of your website and keep them engaged to bring the traffic back into your website so that you've got the opportunity to provide greater amount of information, better analytics to personalize the content and address the needs of those individuals. Episerver's developed the capability to build your own brand community and the connections to make sure you can bring members from public networks directly into your own branded community.
Great, thanks. And Veronica, that was to both, right? Shall we give Anthony the opportunity to address it? Anthony, mobile and multi-channel, tell us a little bit about your capabilities there.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Definitely an exciting space, and obviously seeing huge growth in access from mobile devices, so delivery to mobile devices, and of course, the social channels are critical. And within our product, we've taken a really interesting approach, and that is we have the ability to device target. With so many different devices out in the marketplace, the Android, Safari, Opera Mini, through the BlackBerry, and of course iPhone. You really need to very quickly be able to repurpose your content, reuse it, and deliver a compelling mobile experience. So our engine does real-time detection and allows you to repurpose that content in real time and deliver it. And then more importantly, from the author's side, managing content and mobile content is critical, because you're probably going to optimize your channel delivery. You're not necessarily going to throw down the same thing that you would to a PC. So we can seamlessly inject or remove content dynamically, but still give authors the ability to manage all of this from one repository, so they can actually switch between their context and look at what Android users will be seeing, look at what iPhone users will be seeing, and PC users, all from within the same management console. So really, really nice over there. In terms of other channels like social, this is one area that we're working hard on at the moment in terms of being able to have tighter engagement with that channel, and also importantly to monitor those channels. So we're doing a lot of work in terms of sentiment analysis, and also publishing content out to the social channel. So stay tuned on that one.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Okay. Let's go to the next question here, and that is first to Bob. You talked about engagement a couple of times, both in your case studies as well as in kind of the overview of the Episerver product. So as an analyst, I'm looking a lot into this kind of engagement, web engagement space. But do you think that engagement is just a kind of a buzzword that marketers are using today? Tell us a little bit about what Episerver specifically means by engaging online presence. It seems to be a bit overused today. Tell us what you mean by it.
Sure. The engagement concept is one that I think is not new, but I think it's become a little bit of a discussion topic. And from our perspective, many of our clients are looking for help at understanding this. But when they talk about engagement, from my perspective, what they're really looking for is a better 360-degree view of what the activities are of an individual when they're interacting with a brand. That brand can be online on a website. That brand can be somewhere represented in a public social network. It has so many different dimensions now that really trying to come up with unique ways to look at the visitor interactions, the type of content that's interesting to them, and leading into personalizing content to try to address this long tail problem that's really been important for communication and online marketing for a number of years. As we present more and more content, you've got to figure out a way to get that information that's right message to the right person at the right time, and now with mobile, right location and right context, so that you get the maximum benefit to the visitor who's coming into the site. So a lot of times the
Yeah, let me wrap you up there if I can, and I'll take it over to Anthony, and maybe he can finish that up. What's your view on it, Anthony? I mean, is this something, as Elcom leading the charge here in this engagement? I don't see it as much, quite obviously, in your marketing materials, but you spoke to it a little bit today. What's Elcom's view on engagement? And Bob touched on personalization. Is this just, you know, personalization from circa 2000 all over again? It didn't seem to work before. Tell us how you're making it work for you.
Yeah, well, look, there's no question it's a very exciting space, and you've seen, I guess, a lot of the ideas and concepts used over time and used in the past, maybe not executed as well as we're seeing today. It's not just a buzzword. I mean, it's definitely an important part of where the web is at today. That said, we do see a variety of different, I guess, levels of maturity within organizations today. Certainly it's a buzzword for us, you know, us practitioners, but certainly in the trenches, you know, we still see customers grappling with you know, concepts and content delivery issues which are not yet up to the maturity of WEM. But, you know, we obviously need to be ready for this, and in our product, the essence of WEM has been core to our product, you know, from the start. So, you know, we've obviously got, you know, outstanding support for content optimization and multi-channel management. We have tools such as, you know, built-in analytics and A/B testing for traffic sculpting and lead conversion, and also at the core, at the heart of it is you know, a dynamic taxonomy-driven content engine which can serve contextualized content and a personalized user experience. Where we really need to start to see this broadening out is in I think the conversational engagement piece. That means tighter management of the social networking content, and in particular sentiment analysis, which I mentioned earlier, and really just management of the message in the social media context. I think that's pretty important. And then, of course, there's a lot of excitement around this idea of persona matching, lead scoring, and real-time personalization. And we're working hard on delivering these in our upcoming release, version 7.5. But again, we're still listening to our customers, and you know, they're moving into this space, but they're still trying to understand exactly how to embrace it and make it work best for them.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think that's a good overview. Maybe we can switch gears a little bit. And by the way, I just saw on our CMS Connected hashtag, someone commented that they'd like to make sure that we give the presenters ample time to answer all the questions. And we're trying to get through as many as we can. We're at the halfway point now, and I'm walking into question number 5 here. So I'd like to just ask then, so that I don't have to cut you guys off, if you can just keep your answers as concise as you can, but as full as you possibly can within the allotted time. So Anthony, it's back to you. Your tagline for Elcom is enterprise content management. And you talked about managing documents, and certainly from an internet aspect, do you consider the Community Manager.net platform to be an ECM solution versus a web content management solution? And just maybe if you can also address for us specifically, I mean, in the market, we saw for a long time many ECM products essentially try to claim that they have WCM capabilities, and we've seen even some really mammoth products be removed from the market, I think, for those reasons. So tell us, how can Elcom manage both of these well if you're attempting to do so?
Sure, good question. Thanks, Scott. Look, the ECM focus for us is definitely within the context of web content management, and that is really our core competency. But as I mentioned earlier, we've always had a very strong focus on the enterprise information management space, so a more holistic view, particularly through our focus on intranets. So really for us, ECM is just about providing powerful document management, search, collaboration, digital asset management, workflow management, all underpinned by a powerful kind of metadata engine. And we feel these concepts, are really important for web content management. So we've tried to kind of bring the best of the ECM world into the WCM world, if you will. So kind of bringing in all that governance framework, so check-in, check-out, version control, security, audit trails, archiving, review, and retention tools, which all, I guess, make this quite a compelling offering for organizations that have broader information management requirements. And we also work hard to provide greater interoperability to the traditional ECM tools, which obviously, not part of our solution, things like document scanning and records management. And through our API, we coexist well with these external ECM and DMS systems.
Great. Okay, perfect. So I've heard you talk about interoperability a number of times, so I've made note, and we're going to ask you about that in just a little bit, so be prepared here. Bob, let's go over to you. Tell us about how Episerver, how do you address ECM needs, or do you address ECM needs?
Yeah, Episerver technology gets used in situations where enterprise content management is important, but our focus is squarely around web content management, online communities, e-commerce, and online communication. Having said that, we integrate to enterprise content management solutions if that's the requirement for our customer. But I think, Scott, as you're probably aware, a lot of times the people who are responsible for web or online digital marketing in some form or another are probably not the types of people that are thinking about the technology solution. Obviously, we have the types of features and functions built into our system that are sort of cost of entry into the market today for workflows, different styles of content management, security and access control, and the ability to audit who's changed content at certain points in time. But our focus still is presenting that information out in public websites. I don't know, from your perspective, if you've seen situations where marketers are trying to buy technology, a lot of times we keep our message focused on the value and benefit to the marketer or the communication specialist as opposed to the technologist. And enterprise content management really isn't something that comes up in the terms that the marketers normally speak about.
For sure, makes sense. Veronica, do you want to pull in a question from the audience here, or shall I keep plowing through?
I do have a question, actually, from the audience. They'd like to know, how do you handle, and I think this is to both of you, how do you handle a case that involves moving a website that has multi-layered customization from a cold fusion environment to a .NET environment, where the CMS will have to integrate with a SharePoint intranet solution? And Anthony, how about if we start with you on that one?
Okay, that sounds like a nice one. Look, migrations, are definitely important in this space, and we need to be looking at ways to really make it easier for systems to be interoperable and really to get content in and out. And we're seeing the evolution now of standards like CMIS, which certainly makes it easier. But right now, that's really, you need to use tools like the APIs that exist in those products. Certainly, we have some very strong tools that can help you to quickly bring your content in. And specifically in the SharePoint space, we have SharePoint connectors. So, you can coexist with a SharePoint environment and quickly and easily share information between SharePoint and the Elcom CMS. I don't want to make it sound like it's a walk in the park. A migration is a piece of work, and it needs to be done with the appropriate methodologies and approaches.
I think that's a really fair answer. Also, I really love to hear, especially as an analyst who's advising, my customers through CMS selections and things like that. I really love to. It's a breath of fresh air when I hear vendors basically tell you how much pain is going to be involved in a migration to or from their product, because in fact it will be. So, great point there. Let's go over to Bob again here. Back to you. You were acquired, Episerver was acquired about 6 months or so ago by IK Investment Partners. And that was not too long after withdrawing your IPO attempt, which had been in the works for a little while. Can you, I feel like this is a topic that should be addressed in this forum. Can you tell us, help the audience to answer any questions for themselves about Episerver's stability, and tell us how your strategy has changed with the backing of IK? How has this helped your product continue to move forward?
Sure, absolutely. One of the things that's sometimes a little confusing to people, if they hear that you've withdrawn an IPO, they view that as a bad thing for some reason. From our perspective, it was really a mechanism to help Episerver continue to grow. And based on the volatility of the market, I guess I don't have to talk too much about the current economic climate. We decided from a board of directors perspective last year that it was better for us to move forward in a different way than taking the IPO path. The result of that was we were introduced to IK Investment Partners, a private equity firm, during the process of the IPO, and they actually came forward with a very substantial offer to acquire the company in whole, to continue on the strategy and track that we had been on, and viewed Episerver as a strong growth engine to help them move forward into the technology area. So overall, it's been an excellent acquisition. The transition's been extremely smooth. We've had no changes in management. We're continuing to execute on the same game plan that we had in place, and most importantly, as you saw in some of the earlier slides, the growth curve continues to go up. So we view the overall change of ownership as being a very positive thing at this point, and see it as a driver for continued Episerver growth into the U.S. market and further expansion around the world.
Perfect. I think it's a very fair answer, and you're right that I want to allow you the option to dispel any of that, because I do think you're right that sometimes it gets a bad name, and it might be a very solid business decision as it was in your case here, I think. So let's move over to Anthony. You're not off the hook on this question. Elcom is privately owned and actually seems to be a bit of a family-run business, with the operational head of your U.S. presence being the son of the CEO. So how does your ownership structure at Elcom affect your ability to stay competitive in the market and to keep up with the likes of an Episerver who has much deeper pockets? Can you tell us a little bit about your ownership structure?
Yeah, sure. Well, look, as you pointed out, we are a private company, and there is a family interest. I think this is a great thing. I think first of all, being private gives us a lot of flexibility. We can be very agile and nimble in our approach to the market. We can respond quickly. So for us, making decisions, don't take long. We don't need to, get approval from our funders. We're self-funded, and we can act quickly. And I think that's really empowered us and allowed us to innovate and take our product into different markets, and we definitely see it as a positive thing. We're obviously going through a lot of growth right now, and the structure may change, but for now it's worked really well for us.
Very fair point. I think the speed of decision making and stuff is an extremely relevant point, and you've obviously had a lot of success with that model. So let's move on to the next question, which comes back to you again. I told you I was going to get back to you on this interoperability point. So tell us, why is it that Elcom deserves the label of the interoperable CMS, as you like to call yourself? Why does it deserve that distinction? And is it more interoperable than, say, Episerver?
Well,
we do have boxing gloves on after all, isn't that right? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I definitely like the slide. I just wondered if I was Rocky Balboa or Clubber Lang. I think I'll go for Rocky. So You know, the reason we call ourselves an interoperable CMS is because, as I mentioned earlier, all of our engagements aren't just surface-level websites, intranets, and e-commerce. Everything we do has kind of deep and complex integration into the core business systems of our customers. So, you know, as I mentioned in the Hyundai example, there was, you know, a lot of integration to a variety of different systems, whether they were ERP systems, CRM systems, and typically on any engagement there'll be a deep level of integration and interoperability with other systems. You know, so we see that as really key to the whole web content management story. You know, as Bob mentioned, you know, what a website is today has definitely changed. So it can no longer just be, you know, an environment that stands alone and doesn't really reach out to the other systems and bring in that rich and meaningful data and have a two-way interaction between the end user and the organization, and also a full 360 view of their touch points and you know, whether they be through the help desk or through, you know, the online feedback system. It's all got to come together. So I guess, you know, our approach is that interoperability is definitely paramount.
Great. Just having a little fun with you there, but I'll do so with Bob as well. You really wear, you know, web engagement on your shirt sleeve at Episerver, and I would think that interoperability would be pretty important and pretty relevant there, given that web content management is really only one piece of that web engagement puzzle. So does Episerver, or tell us how Episerver lives up to that interoperable tag, which Elcom likes to wear?
Sure. Interoperability becomes an essential discussion that starts up when our partners are involved in designing and planning the online solution that they're putting in place for our joint customer. The typical integrations that come up in those discussions are CRM systems, where you're prior to the sale or in the process of selling, to ERP systems where you've got a lot of other corporate information, especially important when you have a commerce environment. Certainly the document management like SharePoint type of systems comes up when we talk about intranets. But another one that's important to consider is analytics. And most organizations that are concerned about the performance of their online marketing systems, online communication systems, really spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to measure what sort of results are they getting out of these investments that they're making, out of different programs that they use to try to drive traffic, to try to get more conversions or more revenue through the online interaction with their customers. So that analytics is a key area that we focus on from an interoperability standpoint as well. One component in our solutions called the Online Center Dashboard. There's a mobile version of that as well called Mobile Center. That product allows you to build these sort of iGoogle style gadgets that you can use to bring different analytic information in from different sources and look at that all in one place. And this gets back to the point we talked about earlier, the 360-degree view of the visitor to the site or any sort of online communication you have with them. It may be open rates or click-through rates on emails that you send out to specific landing pages. It could be shortened URLs that you're putting into social channels and try to drive traffic back into your own community or to specific offers and discounts that you're making available through your commerce site.
Great. Okay. Perfect. All right. So that works for me. Let's talk about this open source like comment that you made earlier and that I've seen before with Episerver World being a large developer community, and you've mentioned some various kind of open source components. Can you help us understand what you mean a little bit by that? I mean, is it just a community of developers who support each other, which is not necessarily open source in and of itself, or is your licensing structure actually such that the source code is available for developers to manipulate and share with others and even resell? Help us to understand a little bit about what you mean by open source like.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to step back a minute and say why I think open source is important to our customers and our partners. And really, at the end of the day, it gets down to this issue that comes up over and over again in the world of software, is you don't want to get locked into one vendor. You don't want to be stuck in this proprietary situation. I think the primary focus that we've had on staying .NET oriented keeps us at least in the Microsoft environment. While I wouldn't call that open source, it certainly removes risk for customers, and that's important for them. The next dimension that we add on top of that is this open source-like community, which starts off with our entire software solution being very extensible. So there's APIs, connection points available to extend and develop other functionality or other interfaces through our software that provides greater value to specific customer needs or certain vertical markets. And the community that we've built is really focused on the obvious things like self-supporting, providing tips and tricks and ways to work with our software. But that community also develops extensions, new modules, and add-ons that they make available in an open source form to others who are developing on the same platform. So the open source characteristic is not meaning that our software is licensed under an open source model, simply that the contributions from the community are, in most cases, provided as open source code so other developers and other Episerver partners can take those components and deliver value more rapidly to our joint customers.
Great. Okay, perfect. And I'm sorry if folks are seeing my calendar alarm. Okay. So, Anthony, to you, maybe you can tell us a little bit. You haven't made the open source claim, so I'll let you off the hook on that one, but maybe you can tell our audience about support. Now that you've kind of just recently shifted over into the North American market just this year, how do you handle the various levels of support? This is something that is constantly on the minds of my customers as they walk into potential relationships with vendors. Tell us how you're handling this if you're a new entrant to the market.
Yeah, Scott, look, support is definitely key to what we do, and our strategy in the US market is really to establish centers of technical excellence through our partner network. So, currently we have a network already, and we've only really been in the US this year, and we have a partner network across Virginia, St. Louis, Missouri, Seattle, Washington, Dallas, Texas, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and into Colorado, Boston, Massachusetts. So, really positive ramp up there. Over 70 partners, in fact, already in the USA. And there's a few key, distributors, in fact, which are developing centers of technical excellence, and they will, definitely be providing, deep expertise in terms of supporting the product. But in addition to that, we also have, an online community. We have online reference sites. We have, of course, the 24-hour help desk. So we're definitely providing, a full complement of support to our customers, and that support is really one of those things where if you talk to our customers and look at our references, our customers, absolutely love the support that we give them. So, we understand, coming from that services heritage, that it makes the difference, and it determines whether a project will be successful or not. So we're going to be putting a huge emphasis on that in the US market.
It really is important, and for all of your current and future clients, I really hope you make sure to give a lot of credence to the partners that you bring on, because to hear you've got 70 new partners, that's great, but they obviously have shallow experience to date with Elcom. So maybe I'll let you address that in a future question, but I want to hone in back to Bob now. Sorry, yeah, back to Bob now. So, no, I'm sorry. Let me continue on with you. Maybe you can answer that first. I put it out there. Why don't you talk about that? If you've got 70 new partners on board, how do you ensure that they actually, can provide that support, which you said you care a lot about?
Well, it's really around working very closely with them, providing them with training, and developing what we're calling these centers of excellence. So we have a few partners who are really, wanting to, establish these centers of excellence and gain really deep knowledge. So it's about making sure they all go through our certification program, and we constantly engage with them and, make sure that they're just active partners. It's easy to, walk in and say, we've signed up 70 partners and they're all dormant, but that's not the case for us. We really will only work with partners who have, competency in this space and have an understanding of client web requirements and implementing solutions that meet their needs. So that means, digital agencies, web developers, system integrators, and consultants, and really empowering them. So it's a very focused partner program, and we'll be working closely with them to ensure that they can support and implement the product, and ultimately be experts in the Elcom CMS.
Okay, good stuff. You do your company proud, Anthony, with your responses. Let's ask you about your product suite. Maybe clarify this for me. Even in the slides that we showed up earlier, or if I go to your website, it looks like the CommunityManager.net platform seems to have quite a few products under it, from WebManager.net, InternetManager.net, Training Manager, and on and on and on. Are these completely separate products, or are they just kind of branding differentiation? When I say separate, I mean, are they technically different, or are they just branding differentiations? I mean, if I'm an enterprise client of yours and I kind of want your full suite, I mean, am I separately licensing each one of these in order to achieve my goals? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what we've done there is it's really a branding differentiation. When we talk 50 modules, it doesn't really do justice to what those modules are. There's a lot of open source guys who will make these claims of hundreds of modules and what have you. Really, what we have there are more applications than modules. And so that distinction is really saying to you, well, if you augment the base CMS with, our training management solution, you've got the essence of our training manager solution. And then, through all the different branding streams, you are able to add modules which provide that functionality. So it's really just us trying to expose the deep functionality in our system and really talk to an audience that is looking for a specific solution. E-commerce is another great example. So, the e-commerce manager is really an aggregation of a number of modules which provide that e-commerce functionality in a really outstanding way.
Okay, perfect. Bob, maybe you can tell us about your product suite. You also seem to have a lot of products. You talk about CMS and commerce and SEO and community. If I go over your website, Create Plus, Composer, a number of them that seem pretty similar. Help us understand a little bit about yours. Are they all part of a single suite with individually named modules, or are they actually different products entirely? How does that work at Episerver?
Yeah, so we build and release all of the software at the same time so that it's, in our minds, guaranteed to work as a platform, and the interoperability between the different components is guaranteed out of the box. However, when our partners are making recommendations to customers to put a site together for them, they may pick and choose some number of components and just run with a subset. And there's certainly the freedom and flexibility to be able to do that in the product line. The main product is Episerver CMS. It focuses on content management, but also delivers the online center dashboard that I talked about earlier. And then additional to that is the Episerver Relate product that's used to build online communities or add social capabilities to a website that might be built with Episerver CMS. Episerver Commerce focuses on the commerce online transactions, product catalog, and management of the checkout process, as well as the integration back to ERP systems that we talked about earlier. And then Marketing Arena provides capability for online communications, a mail component that pulls content you develop through your CMS and delivers that to a set of users that the email address from, pulling lists either from the community that you built with Episerver Relate or from a CRM that you might have integrated to as well. I think one of the other interesting things about the Episerver strategy is we have this program called Episerver Extras, which is a way for us to work with our community in the Episerver world, have them develop components that seem like they solve problems in their local markets. They put those products into the Episerver Extras marketplace, and they're able to market and promote those things to other people around the world. When we see those components starting to gain traction and become interesting, we've gone through a process of co-marketing or white labeling those products, and then over time moving into a situation where we would acquire some of that technology and roll it into the Episerver platform. And that's been the case with, for example, the Composer product, which is a nice drag-and-drop layout product that's used to design web pages free-form or to follow content templates that have been established ahead of time. Focuses on a lot of reuse of content blocks in a way that's really convenient to marketers. So just an example of something that kind of grew out of the community, became something that was valuable to our customer base, so we ended up acquiring that technology component and rolled it in.
And Scott, I'm going to interrupt there because the questions continue to come in from the audience. We're going to try, hopefully, to speed up the answers, guys, because it's fascinating, but we need a lot of stuff to get through. You were talking a little earlier about growth in the U.S., and this person has asked, in terms of that, what does this mean for your partners as you grow in the U.S., and what is your ideal partner profile? Bob, let's start with you.
So the Episerver growth in the U.S. Continues to be strong, and what it means for our partners is that they're getting new opportunities to work. So our partners are just as interested, and we are just as interested as we are at delivering value to the end customer. Our ideal partner is one that has a variety of capabilities, whether it's just web implementation or systems integration, but in some cases digital agencies that handle the creative side of the work as well. The Episerver portfolio provides a lot of opportunities for those partners to deliver more value to the customer.
All right, and Anthony, same question?
Yeah, so our partners for us are people, obviously with web expertise, engaged in the web space, understand how a CMS can provide value to clients, and we're seeing that they're loving the breadth of functionality that we offer, and they're seeking to really expand and grow their businesses with a powerful CMS and offer this comprehensive suite to their customers, and really, having the peace of mind knowing that we're there to ensure that they're successful and love using the Elcom CMS.
Great.
Thanks. Scott, back to you.
Okay, so I guess we just have time for maybe one more question before we have to wrap up, Veronica. Is that about right, or?
Yes.
Because we're pretty close to time here. So by the way, feel free, folks, if you want to give us some comments at our hashtag and let us know, or just send us a message. Let us know your thoughts. Last week we did a 60-second, auto timeout last month, and this month we've let them go a little bit long. We're trying to balance the two. But let me ask the next question to Bob. Regarding product growth through acquisition versus native development here. So continuing on that, the modules line of thinking that we were on before, the last question was about the various technologies that you've acquired from others. It seems that many of the suite products in your suite were based on acquisition. How can you ensure our listeners that they are in fact not just a hodgepodge of tools and modules that don't work well together, but they really do have the interoperability that you've sold up here?
Right. So the number one thing I'd say is you need to see it for yourself, and we're very happy to give you a comprehensive demo so you can see the interoperability and how it works. Our strategy is built on the premise that we're delivering value from these different components working together. So obviously, if we're not making the connection in the right way, we're unable to deliver that value, and that directly impacts our business. So it's really in our best interest to make sure they are shown to work together. The components that we've acquired fit into the overall platform. We've taken that code and made it our own such that it's released, documented, and supported by Episerver personnel. We stand fully behind everything that we're offering to the market today.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess, Veronica, I'll allow, we told each person here that we'll allow them the opportunity to ask the other one question. So I'll shift it to Bob first. Would you like to ask a question to Anthony about the Elcom product?
Sure. Anthony, I was looking through your website and trying to understand the range of offering that you had. The thing that was hard for me to understand is if you can describe for me a company that's not a good fit for your product. Who would not be able to take advantage of the value that you're offering?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a good question. Look, I'd like to say that we're a good match for most businesses out there. Given the breadth of offering and the capability of our CMS, I don't think there are too many businesses out there that wouldn't find you know, a lot of value in the product. So yeah, a tough one to answer there. I'd like to say none.
Well, let's allow you the opportunity to ask Bob a question then. What's your question for Bob?
Okay, so Bob, I mean, we're both obviously experiencing huge growth in our respective regions. So I was just wondering, you know, what advice do you have for an innovative and enthusiastic company like ours with a fantastic product to best take advantage of the U.S. market?
Well, I can give you the answer for the webinar, but maybe I should talk to you offline and we can go through some more details there. The type of growth we're experiencing in the U.S. is a function of addressing specific customer needs and trying to look at a way to bring value through everything that you're delivering, the software, the partner network, the support, all of these areas that Scott's been asking us about throughout the discussion today. Our customers are looking for a vendor that can provide lasting value for them, that has a roadmap that moves forward in the direction that they think is important and relevant to go. So first and foremost is listen to customers, make sure you understand what their needs are. Number two is listen to partners, make sure you understand what they think is important for the business environment because they're local after all.
Great, thank you.
And Scott, if I can move things over to lots of audience questions coming in. First is to both of you, and I'll start with Elcom. Do you have a cloud-based solution, and how are you securing that cloud? And then to Episerver. Actually, let's start with Episerver. How are you securing your cloud?
Well, so first of all, Episerver's run for a number of years a hosting capability that we call EverWeb. And recently we've introduced a package solution that provides Episerver software on top of that hosted environment. And we provide a variety of controls there, obviously by following the normal ISO standards for operational environments, which is extremely important to our customers, but also for some built-in features in the product that allows you to secure access to content, and full capability to measure and monitor who's been accessing the site. There's obviously the security issues that come up from web-borne attacks, and we're very confident that that area is satisfactory for us as well, based on some recent experience that we've had in Sweden. We've had a number of situations with the government, and you guys might recall some of the WikiLeaks discussion that's been going on. We've had a severe amount of attack traffic coming in there, but survived that completely and kept everything running the full time we were under attack. So the standards that we follow, the practices that we have in place are satisfactory for government agencies, and that seems to meet the needs of our customers around the world.
All right, thanks, Bob. And Anthony, same question. Does Elcom have a cloud-based solution, and if so, how are you securing it?
Yeah, look, our product is virtualization friendly. However, as far as you know, the popular third-party services go, Azure and Amazon, we're looking at moving our product into the cloud. But you know, the current siloed nature of the industry means that we haven't yet committed to any one of these vendor solutions because there is a bit of tie-in depending on which way you go. You know, so we're watching the space closely and looking at emerging standards in the cloud, which would then make it more viable to, you know, allow portability in the, you know, between the different cloud services. So certainly virtualization friendly. You know, in terms of security, look, we take security extremely seriously, and we address that in a number of ways. You know, from static code analysis, you know, running regular outsourced independent tests, and really just continually introducing security features that keep us, you know, abreast of new developments in the industry. You know, only recently we're starting to see this big increase in this fire sheep attack, and it's just a matter of staying on top of this and being, you know, really rigorous with how we, you know, develop and monitor the code.
All right, thanks, Anthony. Now the next question again is to both of you. I'm going to start with Bob from Episerver. Explain the multi-language process of your CMS for companies that do not have resources to hire human translators. Is there a tool such as Google Translate that's part of your CMS?
Yes, you can interface Episerver's multi-language capability to automated tools, but what we hear from our customers is that localization is a very sensitive area and a place where if you really want to do the job right and be viewed correctly in that other locale, you probably need to have some humans take a look at it at some point along the way. And to support that process and make it easier, we provide standard interfaces to some of the translation interfaces like XLIF, so you can grab content, pull it out quickly, have it translated by real humans with the appropriate terms, the appropriate language usage for the markets that you're trying to reach, and bring that back in. We also offer a full complement of capability so you can distribute content management to different parts of the world and different editorial staffs so they can adjust content in their own language and not run into each other in terms of making changes to the same piece of content in two places at the same time.
Thanks, Bob. All right, Anthony, same question. How does Elcom deal with that?
Yes, I think similar to Episerver, having a heritage in an area which is full of different languages. Being in the Asia-Pac region, we've had good pedigree in terms of a system that's well designed for multi-language capability. We definitely have the Google Translate options, but I definitely agree with Bob's comments there in that it's definitely a sensitive area and an area which does need that massaging. So in terms of being able to integrate tightly with third-party translation services using the XLIF format, that is something which is currently in design in our product and we will be delivering. But we have some really fantastic tools to help authors publish in multi-language, work together as a team through things like visual workflows and, more importantly, notifications. So if one language version has changed, other language authors are immediately notified. So definitely a very important space for us, and we continue to develop it.
All right, thanks, Anthony. One more question to both vendors, and then I will toss it back to Scott. This is concerning your products. Do your products require a standalone portal product, and what is the level of customization available? Bob, let's start with you.
Maybe I'm not completely understanding the question. If you're talking about a standalone portal product to make everything operate in Episerver, that's not the case. You can operate Episerver on top of any .NET Microsoft Server environment with no additional software required.
All right. And Anthony, same question. Do your products require a standalone portal product, and what's the level of customization available?
Yes, no requirements there for any standalone portal products. Also, this is built on the Microsoft stack, so .NET and SQL. So really no requirements there for that. But obviously, extension and customization is baked into the product, which has an API and a software development kit to extend it.
All right, excellent. Scott, I'll toss it back to you if you have any other questions for either of our guests.
Boy, that was a question straight out of 2001. Just kidding. So on the, I just want to get one last question in here because we promised our viewers that we'd get to it. And Bob, you knew I was going to ask you about this. Pricing. I think this is on everyone's mind. So let's just quickly, from a pricing standpoint, can you give the audience a feel for what it would take to acquire and use your product? Maybe give us an indication of the average deal size or a price range for small, medium, large deals, as well as the factors that affect the pricing from Episerver's perspective.
Sure. I'll start with the last part first. The factors that affect the pricing are numerous based on what the end goal is for the customer's environment and what they're trying to achieve. The elements that affect the price is which and how many of the components are necessary from the Episerver portfolio, and additionally, how many servers are going to be used to operate that environment if you have a geographically distributed setup or a load-balanced environment. Obviously, there's a license required for each of those machines that would be running Episerver software. The starting price for Episerver, just to build a basic website and get going, is a license fee that's in the range of $15,000 US. But we have recently introduced a cloud-based offering that's really convenient and affordable for our customers, where we're charging $1,800 per month. That includes the CMS license and the hosted environment, fully up and operational, and you can sign up for that online.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And just a quick clarification, you said based on servers. Is it servers or CPUs?
Servers.
Perfect. Okay, great. And then Anthony, over to you. Same question. Tell us a little bit, maybe average deal size, small, medium, large, and factors that affect the pricing.
Sure. Well, yeah, obviously it differs depending on requirements, but firstly let me just say our licensing model is per site, so we do not license per user or CPU, so it makes it really cost-effective, a cost-effective proposition. Customers can really then build on their investment by licensing modules that best suit their organizational needs today, and then expand on that as the need arises. So to give you a ballpark, you know, an average department buy would range between the $10,000 and $30,000 mark, depending on you know, how many modules are integrated into that department solution. On the large or enterprise side, you know, the average deal would be above the $50K mark, and there's a variety of flavors when we get up into this space: corporate, enterprise, multi-site orientations, and of course staging and development scenarios as well.
Great. Thanks very much. Veronica, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thanks, Scott. And we are going to wrap, but the questions keep coming in, and this is one we actually would like answered. This is directed to Episerver. What modules have Episerver built, and what have they purchased or acquired? Bob, there you go.
Sure. Episerver CMS is built by Episerver, but we've added on top of that Episerver Composer. That's a module that was acquired from an external company. Episerver Relate is code that we've built on top of an acquisition that we made several years ago, a company called Netstar. But that product has gone through 2 generational changes and is something that we consider our own at this point. The Episerver Commerce product comes from a technology partner that we work with that's based here in the U.S. And the Marketing Arena product is technology that we've built ourselves, but we take advantage of some online services that are available through the web to deliver some of the value there.
All right, Bob, thank you. And sadly, this concludes our CMS Connected event. I know it's been a fascinating hour, and we've got lots of questions that have still been on, but we hope we've answered most of them for you. I'd like to thank our special guest, Scott Lewer from Outsell's Gilbane Services, for co-hosting with me today, and of course to both our vendor guests, Bob Egner from Episerver and Anthony Milner from Elcom. Thank you, gentlemen, both very much. We put you in the hot seat, and I think you both delivered very well. Now, for those of you that did not get a chance to have your question answered, and we know you're out there, or if you'd like to contact Episerver or Elcom for a product demonstration, please feel free to contact our guests at the contact information on the screen. I'd also like to thank once again our CMS Connected sponsors, Falcon-Software, Prescient Digital, and CM Pros. And if you'd like to discuss your web CMS project with Prescient or Falcon-Software, you can visit their websites for contact information. Now mark your calendars, everybody. Our next CMS Connected show is set for July 15th, and we are featuring open source products, Hippo and Plone. Register today at cms-connected.com. I certainly hope you enjoyed the show.
Hi, Veronica. I'm sorry, really quickly, on the screen it says June 13th. It's June 13th for that, not July 15th. So it's next month we have Hippo and Plone on June 13th.
Ah, fabulous. Thank you. We've bumped it up because we know it's important to all of our audience out there. We really hope you enjoyed today's show. We look forward to hosting everyone once again on June 13th. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.